My top 5 videos according to you, the viewers, for 2024. In number 5, we have the post-fight breakdown of Naoya Inoue knocking out Nery in 6 rounds. That fight got 3.5k views. Now, I assume that the intrigue with that fight, or the post-fight breakdown, was the fact that Nery did actually drop Inoue for the first time in Inoue's career, but Inoue came back and secured the knockout in the 6th round. And in spite of Inoue not fighting ever in the United States of America, he's gained a fair amount of popularity overseas. Now, I somehow doubt we're ever going to see Inoue fight in the US simply because he commands such a huge audience in Japan, and he's the undisputed champion, so why should he leave his home nation? Inoue can sell out 60,000 at the Tokyo Dome. There's not really a venue in the United States of America that could compete with that or exceed that. I suppose Wembley Stadium, with over 90,000 would exceed the Tokyo Dome. However, why would Inoue travel to the UK to fight probably not a UK fighter, right? In any case, in spite of Inoue fighting fairly distant, I would say, B-side opponents, I think we will all continue to watch him regardless of who his opponent is, simply because Inoue is such a captivating fighter. In number 4 was the post-fight breakdown of Anthony Joshua knocking out Francis Ngannou. Now, overall, there's always intrigue with the heavyweight division, regardless of who the two fighters are. And this post-fight breakdown garnered 4.5k views. I think a lot of us were surprised that Joshua was able to knock out Ngannou in just 2 rounds. And it was quite a dominant performance. It was pretty much a blowout, with Anthony Joshua being able to drop Ngannou several times before finally putting him away. Now, the reason I think this video got so many views was because both Joshua and Francis Ngannou are very well known in their respective fields. Ngannou being UFC champion and known for his devastating one-punch KOs, and Anthony Joshua, of course, being the Olympic medalist from the UK with a very, a very accomplished career as a professional, at one point being heavyweight champion. So I think the combination of Francis pulling in all the MMA fan viewers and Joshua being a well-known name, pulling in all the boxing viewers, that plus the fact that this was just an incredible KO performance by Joshua, I think that's why that video was viewed so many times. Now, unfortunately for Joshua, of course, he's gotten knocked out by Daniel Dubois, and in my opinion, I think Joshua should sail off into the sunset at this point. Nevertheless, I think regardless of what Joshua decides to do, if he does continue to fight a few more times, we will tune in. Now, my number 3 video is not boxing related. In fact, this video is a perennial favorite with all viewers, and it is, did Gene LeBell actually make Steven Seagal poop his pants? That video got 4.7k views this year. Now, for whatever reason, that video is a perennial favorite on my channel. I can't tell you, why, other than I guess that's a point of interest for many people, wondering if Steven Seagal actually pooped his pants at the hands of the late great Gene LeBell. So maybe you guys have a little more insight into the popularity of that video. That was actually a video I shot at Gene LeBell's memorial service or memorial remembrance, whatever occasion, at Gokor Chivichian's dojo in North Hollywood. The stuntman who was with Gene LeBell on the set when this went down with Steven Seagal, he was the person on camera recounting the whole story. Now, my intrigue with the story was the fact that it wasn't, in fact, a rear naked choke. That's sort of the story that's gotten perpetuated over time, was that Gene LeBell did a rear naked choke on Steven Seagal. Well, apparently it was actually a neck crank. But, go ahead and listen to the story firsthand from that stuntman. Of course, that video also generated a ton of comments with people arguing back and forth as to whether this stuntman was really there, and other people had other stories. But nevertheless, I'll let you guys be the judge for yourself whether you feel that this stuntman's anecdote is accurate. Now, my second most popular video in 2024 was the post-fight analysis of Gervonta Tank Davis knocking out Frank Martin in 8 rounds. That garnered 5,000 views. Now, I don't think that outcome was particularly surprising, but I think it's just that Tank Davis has such a huge following that for his fights and for all the fight breakdowns involving Tank Davis, folks are going to tune in. Now, even though at this point, there's really been nobody to actually challenge Tank, I guess we're all intrigued by the fact that he has this incredible KO, one-punch KO power. He's a very slick southpaw, and so we always tune in to watch him fight. We'll tune in to hear people's breakdowns of what's going to go down during Tank Davis's fights. Now, my number one fight breakdown for 24 was the pre-fight breakdown of Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. That got 5,500 views. Now, that was a little bit surprising to me. I almost didn't do the breakdown simply because, I'll say this again, I don't consider Joshua versus Ngannou a high-level boxing fight. It's an intriguing matchup. It's a heavyweight matchup, which always garners views. But I just, I broke it down as a boxer versus a very powerful MMA fighter. But for whatever reason, that did get the most views of all my fight breakdowns for 24. Now, in honorable mention, just to kind of boost my own ego, in 6th place was my second fight versus Stephanie Dobbs. Now, that's also the fight that's sort of the featured video on my YouTube channel homepage, and that got 2.9 thousand views this year. So I want you guys to know there's actually a trilogy. There's a third fight where Stephanie and I fought for a minor belt, and it turned out to be yet another draw. We fought in Oklahoma City, which is close to where Stephanie's hometown was, or it may have been her hometown at that point. I do remember it was in an outdoor venue, and the sun was so bright that the referee was wearing sunglasses. And I remember as we came to the center of the ring to touch gloves, I thought, man, I want a pair of sunglasses too. This sun is just beaming into my eyes. Now, I got a few compliments on that fight. A fellow coach, boxer, Stacy Goodwin, told me that he thought that was one of the best female fights he's ever watched. He was there in person. Another gentleman who just happened to be in the audience shot some photographs of that fight. It's actually the only documentation I have of it. And he was kind enough to kind of track me down and then send me a CD of all these photos he took. Now, I still have yet to get my hands on any video footage of that fight. It was the Hamaguchi Dobbs trilogy, third fight. So if any of you know where I could find footage of that, please let me know. Please tag me if you found it on YouTube somewhere. I would love to be able to get footage of our third fight. So which was your favorite either pre or post-fight breakdown that I did this year? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for listening.